module is enabled, I can go to the store, products, and this menu link is actually called import product status. I'll probably change it to just import products. But this takes you to the main page from which all of the import features can be accessed. So the documentation I wrote has a couple of key concepts that we kind of want to establish before we get into actually importing products. First of all, it has a required reading list. So it's actually more like required viewing in some cases, but it includes existing documentation that I found in the Indie Commerce section on BookWeb that describes how to create custom products, how to use the stock module, how to enhance your product classes as content types with more fields, and I also included the custom products webinar. So before using the bulk importer, stores should definitely be familiar with the basics of how custom products work and even some of the more advanced features as well. Then there are some key concepts to understand about the bulk importer system so that the workflow that we use to import products makes sense. The first key concept is what we call a staging table. So a staging table is just a temporary table that holds uploaded product data for review before that product is imported into the site. And the purpose of this is to help provide a check against bad data. The product importer doesn't have any real limits on how many products it could import. So if a store is not careful with it, using the product importer could create a lot of bad or faulty or just undesired content on their site. So the purpose of this staging table is to both sort of validate the data, and there are some basic validations that are run that we'll talk about, and also give them a way of previewing it. So for example, making sure that stores don't switch the price field with the SKU field or something funny like that. So again, it's just to give stores a way of seeing their data before they make it live on their site. Another key concept is the CSV template. All of the products that are going to be bulk uploaded need to be entered into a spreadsheet file. And that file is going to be in the CSV format. The bulk upload system is going to look for particular column headers, just like the text at the top of the column. It's going to use that to determine which data is in the column and how that data is going to be used. To make it easy for stores to create these CSV files, there are features in the custom product import system that allow them to download both a blank template, meaning just the headers, and then they can fill in the rest of the columns. And there's also a full export where they can export all of their products into one of these CSV template files. That can be useful as a backup. It can be useful as an example. And it can also be useful to make bulk updates to existing nodes on the site. Again, I mentioned headers. This just means the first row of that CSV template file. Again, very important, as that's how knows which data goes in which fields in the site after the spreadsheet is uploaded. Finally, it's important to understand the staging table schema. This just refers to which columns are in the staging table and what those columns are called. You can think of that staging table as like an online copy of the CSV file. It basically reflects where that data is going when the file is processed. So sometimes when changes are made to the site, such as adding new fields or creating different attributes or options, the staging table schema can become out of date, and a rebuild may be required. We'll look a bit more closely at that as we go, but basically it's just a way of understanding that when you make changes to content types on your site, you may also cause changes to the file that you would use to upload products. Maybe new fields were added or a field was removed. Those are the kinds of things that would cause one of these tables to change. Finally, there are three staging tables for each product class. So they are the field table, the attribute table, and the stock table. The field table is the most basic and also the most important. My guess is for many stores, the field table will probably be the only one they ever use. And this table is what's used to define a new product. So this table will accept properties of the product like its SKU, the price, the title of the product, the description. It can take an image, as well as any other custom fields that the store admin has attached to that product class on their website. It's also the only table that can create new products. So if you're adding products to the site, you would need to create them using the field table first. The attribute table allows stores to define variations of their product using attributes and options. And finally, the stock table can be used to upload inventory information about the products they've created. The stock table can be used in combination with the attribute table, so you can provide stock numbers for all the different variations that exist. Or if you choose not to use attributes, then the stock table can just be used along with the field table, the records in that table, to indicate, you know, how many of each product are on hand. So let's go and take a look at the, go back to the site here. And you can see that for each product class on my site, I have links to do different things with each of the tables. And by default, this tells me the status of the schema for that particular class. So if it says up to date, I know that means the schema is good. If I see this out of date, that means that I have changed something about this class, and I need to rebuild the schema table. So that's very easy to do. I just click on the field set here, and there's an option down there that says rebuild. And that will just recreate the schema table based on the database and get it up to date. Similarly, if it says missing, that means this is either a new a new product class or something where it doesn't have a schema table yet. Again, in that case, I just choose to build the schema table, and that will create it. And the reason we don't do this automatically is just because it can be slow. The more complex a content type is, the longer it can take. So, you know, we could just rebuild it whenever a store adds a field or removes a field, but it could make the system very slow if we did that. So, particularly if they don't even use this feature. So, assuming our table is up to date, let's look at what the other options are. The first one is view staged products, and I think I'm going to edit this text to say view and import staged products. This takes us to the main screen where we would work with this particular product class and this particular import table and actually import our data, you know, validate it, process it, that kind of thing. Then we have two more options. We have an option to download a blank CSV template, and we have an option to download a CSV export of existing products. So again, I'm going to get a similar file from both. If I choose the blank template, it's just going to give me a file download. And if I open this file in a spreadsheet program, I'll zoom in on it a little here, we can see that it just gives me an empty spreadsheet with columns for SKU, title, sell price, published, the body, and the image. And again, if I have any other fields that are attached to this class, maybe I added a text field or I added a list field or something like that, those would also appear on this spreadsheet. So I'm not going to save this. My other option is that I can download an export of existing products. And if I choose this option, it's actually going to go into a batch API. Now, in my case, you see that ran in all of a split second, but if a store had hundreds or thousands of products on a site, it could take a while. So in that case, they would see a progress bar moving across the screen as it's creating that export file. When it's done, it will give them a link they can click, and that will download a copy of the file. So if I open this file, I will see that I have 3 t-shirts that I've created on my site. I can see the SKUs, the titles, how much they sell for, whether they're published, the body, and also a link to the image. So I can actually use this file as is. You know, I can start adding new data to it and use this to create new products as well as to update existing products. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to create a new kind of t-shirt. Let's see. We'll make this a demo shirt. So I provide the SKU. Let's see, we'll make it 1450. We do need to set published equal to 1. That just means that this is published, it's available for sale. The body field. And then for an image, we just need to supply any valid link to a picture on the internet. So I'm going to cheat, and we're just going to go to Google image search and look up a demo shirt. I don't even know what I'm going to get for this. Wow, these are boring. Let's see. We'll go with this. So all I would need to do is copy this link. So if I go to this link directly, it's just a HTTPS link. I copied the Google link. That's not what I want. I want the shirt. There we go. I want this link. So I just copied this URL to this image here, and then I just need to paste that here in the field product image and save. And I forgot Numbers always wants to save as a numbers file, so I have to make sure I save as a CSV. Okay, so what I should be able to do now is import the file that I just edited, and it should add a new product to the site. So let's give that a try. Close this, close this. So under T-shirt, I'll choose View Staged Products. And this takes me to a page where I can see, you should recognize these are going to be very similar to the headers that are in that file. So once I import some data, I should see it here. And I can also, there's an option here where I can download that template file. It's basically the same blank template file that I could have downloaded on the other page too. We just provide another link for it here. So if I want to import a new CSV, I just use this to choose the file and then click Upload. And I'll get a message that they've been uploaded successfully. And there's a link here to allow me to validate them. Before I do that, I'll just show you a few details about it. So here we can see, again, this is just a way for stores to visually check that the information that they uploaded, I should see here the same thing I saw in my spreadsheet. It just gives you a way to sort of visually check that all of the columns are in the right place. It's also worth noting this status column. This status column reflects the way that a record evolves as it goes through the process of being uploaded and updated and all that. So we see here that it says that these are currently staged. That means they're ready to be validated. So when we're ready, we click this Validate Now link, and that's going to kick off a batch action, which again goes so fast I don't see it. But if I had a large number of files, I would see a progress bar while it worked through them. And here we can see that the status has changed to Ready Update or Ready New. So this is a helpful way to confirm the system recognized these three products. Those were already in the spreadsheet. And it just said, oh, okay, I know that these exist. I'm going to update them with any new information that's been added. And then this one here, we see it says Ready New. So again, that's what we would expect to see. The system is going to update 3 existing products and add a 4th one that's new. At this point, I can also click this Truncate Table option. So if I don't like what I see here, maybe it's recognizing everything is great, it's going to create duplicates, or maybe some of the body and the image column got flipped or something. I can use that to just erase everything out of this table and not process it. In this case, everything's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and import it. So I'll click Import, and it looks like it had an issue retrieving the existing image for the shirt, and that's probably because of the server doesn't know its own domain name, because this is a test site, it's not a real website. This URL doesn't really exist in DNS. But it went ahead and imported all the products successfully. So from here I can manage the products the same as I would normally. I can go to, say, admin content, and we can see here's our demo shirt. If I click that, we can see here it is, 1450. Here's our SKU, our description, and it pulled in the image. And the size thing is because I added the size attribute as a class option to the shirt, so that wouldn't be there unless I did that. And then there's an option to buy it. I'll show you, just for curiosity's sake, what would happen if I uploaded some invalid data. So, for example, let's say I'm going to just delete these top two rows. And then let's say that we had two SKUs marked demo shirt. And then maybe we delete the price for one of them, delete the title for one of them. Let's see. Sure, let's see what happens. So I'm just messed up this data a little bit. Let's see, I'm going to export this to a CSV. Save it to my desktop, replace the existing file, and let's import it again. So you see at this point no validation has been performed. It just loaded these two records even though they had some issues. But when I run the validate step, so in this case it's gonna hit an error and then stop. So it's gonna say that it found a duplicate SKU. So if somebody uploads the same SKU twice, it's rather than process both records, it's going to give them the opportunity to fix it. So this messages field here is just going to show the user what's wrong with their record. They also have the option to export the errors. So if I click this link, it's going to erase the table and put all of this into a CSV file that I can download. I just opened it in the browser. Let's do it this way. There we go. So this just provides the same data with two additional columns. One additional column for messages. And that messages column will just tell them, these records need to be fixed. So this is a way, and a store can actually modify this same file and re-upload this exact file. So this is a way that if a store is uploading, say, 1,500 records and 50 of them have errors, the system will allow them to go ahead and process the 1,450 records that have no errors. They can then download this export of the 50 records with errors, read the messages to find out what they are, and correct those errors and re-upload their file. So that's the workflow for items that fail. And one of the nice things that the system allows is if I have an item that fails and an item that succeeds, I can go ahead and process the one that succeeded while dealing with the one that failed later. I'll show you what I mean. So let's just take this duplicate SKU out here. So we're going to fix this top line here so that it's valid. And then for this bottom line, we'll omit the title and the sell price. So we should get an error if we do that. So I'm going to export this one more time. And we'll re-upload. Okay, so these two records will be loaded just as I presented them. Now we can validate. So this time, one of them went into ready update, and the other one has an error status. So now I can proceed to import this one product, meaning this update. I can go ahead and process this. And at the end of it, I still have this product with the error hanging around. Now at this point, I can choose to export that file and it will recreate the error download, or I can just truncate the table and start over. If it's just one product, I might not need to do the whole export. And there we go. So that's the basics of the field upload. And again, I suspect for many stores that that's going to be the only file they may need to process. I will just point out, go back to the import product status page. If I use a class like, I think my potato class has some additional fields on it. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So for my potato, I added an additional field called potato color. So, if I want people to be able to specify that this potato is purple or golden yellow or, just a regular old, sort of mealy-ish white, off-white color, they can use this text field to specify that. So the potato table is going to be a little bit different. I'll download this export and we'll take a look at it. So here we go. I've got a couple of different potatoes here. They have body properties, they have an image, and then they'll get this additional column that was not in my t-shirt table for the potato color field. And it's always going to be called FLD underscore and then the machine name of the field. So however many fields are part of this product class or this content type, it's just going to add columns for each one of them. And then I just put whatever value I want that field to have in my spreadsheet when I upload. So the way it works should be pretty intuitive to stores. The most important thing is that they need to set their product classes up the way that they want them to be before they run the upload.